Okay, so we are going to start at the top of the list with serratus anterior for shoulder girdle. And of course, scapular protraction and upward rotation is what the muscle action is. And I'm going to have my son Angelo here. And he's going to, I'm going to show him the action I want. So punching towards the ceiling is the action. For a 3 out of 5 muscle grade, I'm going to take my hands off and ask him to do that motion, please. And I'm going to see that he is a 3 out of 5. So he fought gravity against gravity position, full range of motion, no resistance. So now I'm going to do the brake test. So my stabilization is going to be at the posterior humerus, and I'm going to give him a couple of inches to come up. There's not that much range of motion. I'm going to provide the brake test. So min, mod, max, and see if he brakes. Don't overpower me, meet my resistance. So we always want to tell the patient not to overpower the therapist because we're grading our pressure. We're going from min to mod to max, giving more and more pressure through our hands during the brake test and seeing if they break. Okay, so come on up, meet my hand. Gently push you down. Min, mod, and max. And he's definitely a 5 out of 5, so that's normal strength. And so keep reviewing your grades. So if a 5 out of 5 is normal strength, you're saying normal, full range of motion against gravity with maximum resistance. So keep on practicing when you're thinking about and doing the actual grades with your patient. So the next one I have on the list is, and we did serratus anterior seated position earlier. I have upper trap and levator scap for scapular elevation, and my patient's lying down, so that's going to be gravity minimized. So in order to see that, it's going to be a shoulder shrug. So Angela's just going to take this out of the way. Okay. So just so you can see the shoulders. So what I'm going to have him do, and I can face my patient and say, if he didn't know how to do a shoulder shrug, I would actually tell him to do, shrug your shoulders up by your ears. You do it bilaterally because it's really hard to do unilaterally. We don't want to get any kinks in our neck, so to speak. And I have to palpate because this is gravity minimized position. So I'm looking for upper trap, and I'm just going to ask him to do the motion. He's fully supported. And go ahead and do that motion. As I palpate, that's a 2 out of 5. So now I know he's a 2 out of 5. He's done full range of motion, gravity minimized without resistance. So now I'm going to give him resistance throughout the range. So minimal resistance throughout the range. Palm of my hand is going to find his scapular spine of his scapular, and he's going to do that motion again, and I'm going to give him minimal resistance down posterior, or I'm sorry, down distal. So go ahead and shrug your shoulders. Okay, so now he's a 2 plus out of 5. So, and we did against gravity in seated position. So that was against gravity. So the next muscle on your list is going to be middle trapezius, so he's going to flip prone for me. So Angelo, flip prone. And I'm going to give him a towel roll for his head. And I'm going to ask you to pop up on your knees. And I'm going to put this pillow under his pelvis to protect his low back. Get away from me here. Okay, go ahead. Come towards me, the table. Yeah, perfect. Okay. So, all right. Okay, so we're doing middle trap. Middle trapezius, I'm looking for the scapula to retract. So this is against gravity position. So I'm going to show him the motion. So Angela, I'd like for you to do is just like that. You pull your arm up towards the ceiling, and you're going to squeeze your shoulder blade. If you have to do both shoulder blade squeezes, that's okay. So go ahead and do that motion for me. I want to make sure that scapula is moving into retraction, which it is. Good. Just keep it here just a bit. Okay, do that one more time. All right, good. So now I'm going to give him a brake test. He's a 3 out of 5 right now, so I'm going to do the min, mod, max. My resistance is posterior humerus. I'm going to have my opposite shoulder blade as my stabilization hand. I'm going to ask him to come meet my hand. Don't let me push you down, Ange, okay? Come up. Don't let me push you down. Min, mod, and max. And he's a little wavering, but I'm going to ask him to do it again. Maybe sometimes your patient doesn't know what to expect and how much pressure. So you can do it again. So come on up. Come on up. Okay. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. Okay, he's a 5. There you go. So again, 5 out of 5 normal. He maintained max resistance and he didn't waver at all or break. Good. Okay, the next one, let's see, on your list is rhomboids. Okay, so stay like that.
Oh yeah.
So we're going to stay prone. And I'm going to position his arms. This one's a little weird. Have to do a lot of internal rotation. And if your patient doesn't have this range of motion, you can bring him off to the side and accomplish the same thing. We just have to keep that downward rotation in the scapula. And again, we're looking for retraction. So we're going to put him resting on his back. And the motion that I want him to do for this 3 is to lift his hand off his back. And that you should see, especially if you're looking at that inferior angle, it's going to be retracting and keeping the downward rotation. So go ahead and do that for me, Ange. Good. Ooh, pop, pop. Okay, so 3 out of 5 is right down. Okay, so he did full range of motion against gravity, no resistance. So now I'm going to give resistance. And typically we can move to the other side of the table, but because I have the wall, I'm going to do it here. So I want my resistance, my hand's going to be posterior humerus, and my resistance is going to be down and out. Because it's going to be the opposite direction of the way he is moving. So my opposite hand is going to be, his opposite scapula is going to be my left hand, my stabilization. He's going to come up, he's going to meet my hand. Come on up, don't let me push you down, Ange. And he's pretty strong, so he is a 5 out of 5. All right, excellent. Okay, so that's rhomboids against gravity. And then we have lower trapezius. So lower trapezius, we're going to bring his arm all the way out here. Okay. Keeping the arm, make sure that you have the thumb up, external rotation of the shoulder to protect the shoulder joint. We don't want to impinge any tendons here, always. So for a 3, for our lower trap, we know that the scapula needs to move distal because we're looking at, yes, depression as the action. So he's going to come up, and then you're going to depress or bring that shoulder blade down. Excellent. So he took my cues. That was passively I'm showing him what to do, so he knows what to do on his own. So, and I'm going to see that scapula is moving when he does it by himself for a 3. So go ahead and do that motion again. There you go. Perfect. Okay. So that's a 3 out of 5 lower trap. So now I'm going to do the resistance. Again, I prefer to be on the other side of the table with the wall here, but I can manage. My resistance is going to be down and out, down and out. So my opposite scapula, again, is my stabilizing force. My resistance is going to be proximal humerus this time. And I'm going to resist after he comes and lifts off the plinth. I'm going to resist that depression. So he's got to lift off first, and then I'm going to give resistance. So come on up, meet my hand, Ange. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Oh, and he's strong. Okay, good. A little waver there would be a 4+, but again, I think if I did it again, he would hold it and stabilize it. You want to try it one more time?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. All right. So come on up. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay, better. Yeah? Better, better. All right, so that is lower trapezius. I mean, I think we can, let's try it on this side. Let me see if it comes towards me. If I could do resistance. Yeah, I probably can. Let me try it. So this is typically how I'd want to do it. Okay. We're in the scaption plane. We're not in straight flexion plane. So this is preferably, since we have some room here, I'll show it again. So come on up. Okay, and depress. And that's his 3. And now we're going to do the break test. So come on up. Wait, you've been a little bit of flexion. Come on up. And hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay, good. So that's, get better leverage with the down and out push for resistance. Great. Thanks, Ange. Okay. Let me see what else I did not do yet. What's outside? Okay. Let's do this. We can flip onto your back, and I can get, oh no, actually let's do latissimus dorsi, because we didn't do that yet, in against gravity position. So I'm going to have you come over and just drop your arm, hang off right there on the, yeah, there you go. All right. So you want to start at 90 degrees of flexion for lats, and the motion that I'm going to have him do is straight up extension. Straight up extension, okay? So I'm going to have him do it first for a 3 because this is against gravity. So go ahead and do that motion for me, Ange. Good? Keep it close. Okay. So now I'm going to make him meet me halfway and do the break test. So come on up. My stabilization is the opposite scapula again. Come on up, meet my hand. Don't let me push you down. So you don't want to go all the way to neutral, and his lats are strong. So it's 5 out of 5. Okay? So you don't want to bring him all the way up here because you want to go half the range with your break test. So it's somewhere around, okay, right here. So we went from 90 degrees all the way up to full extension. So I'm picking that halfway mark again, okay, for those longer arcs. Make sure you go halfway. Let me see, what else didn't I do? Posterior delt. We can do posterior delt, okay? So for posterior delt, move on the other side of the table a little bit more. Okay. I'm going to bring your arm 90-90, just like this. So it's going to be 90-90 for posterior delt. Okay? Can you put your arm by your side? Yeah. Just so okay. So for posterior delt, he's literally doing abduction, horizontal abduction. So I'm asking him to have that elbow go straight to the ceiling. So go ahead and do that for me. Good. Now I'm going to stabilize opposite scapula again, and posterior humerus is my resistance hand. So come on up, meet my hand. Don't let me push you down. Hold it, hold it, hold it. Definitely wants to adduct, so I want to hold him in position a little bit more. Okay. He's using some upper trap. He's using some lats. So you really want to make sure that the posterior delt is engaged and no compensations are happening. So come on up, do that one more time for me. Come on up, hold it, hold it, hold it. Okay, we got a little waiver, so maybe we got a 4+. Maybe we got a 4+. Good. Okay. Let me see. Anything else prone that I could do? The one thing I do want to mention. Come on over and drop that arm down again. Another way, if your patient is prone, you could do rotation. So I can have him do internal rotation and external rotation. So we did it in seated position for gravity minimized, but you can also do it in this way. So if I wanted, for example, to do external rotation, I'm going to palpate his infraspinatus teres minor, and I'm going to have him go from full internal rotation to full external rotation, okay, and palpate, and that would be a gravity minimized position. If I wanted to add resistance, I can surround his epicondyles, his humeral epicondyles, and I can ask him to do that motion again and give him resistance in the opposite direction, keep rotating for a 2+. So that would be a 2+. Oppositely, if you wanted to do internal rotation, he'd start here and then come all the way internal. So starting there and go all the way into internal rotation, that would be your 2 out of 5. And of course, surrounding and preventing or going against the internal rotation, providing force in external rotation would be 2+. Okay, thanks, Ange. Flip supine for me. So I'm going to have him supine. Give him a nice pillow for his low back. Okay, so now we need to back up and do pectoralis major. I'm trying to think what else we do. Okay, I think that's about it.
You could have cropped the video and started
Okay,
again.
stop.